same. So welcome, welcome, welcome to Raising Your Impact, where we get to dive into what it really takes to make a bigger positive impact with our work, with who we are, align our authentic presence, our energy, and our message, and really grow our influence and our success. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Faith Rumer. I'm your host for today's panel. And for more than 30 years, I've had the privilege of working with leaders and entrepreneurs, all kinds of creative professionals, speakers, and even Academy Award and Grammy Award winning artists, helping them to find their voice, to elevate their presence, and create their own authentic impact. I'm also the best-selling author of Truly Be Seen and Heard, and I'm a mentor, a speaker, a certified life coach, and a communication expert. And through all of my coaching and mentoring, I've noticed something, that some of the most talented people I know are not creating the impact they're truly capable of creating. Not because they aren't working hard, because I've seen them, they are. And not because they don't care, I've also seen that. There's simply something that they're still holding back. Now, sometimes it's an idea or a gift that they haven't quite trusted enough to share. I mean, that happens to almost all of us. And sometimes we're not completely hiding. Maybe we're just toning ourselves down a little bit. We hold back here, we second guess ourselves there, and then we wait until we feel a little bit more ready. And before we know it, what happens? We become what I used to call, and I still see it, the best kept secret. Right? Someone who has so much to offer, but for one reason or another, it is you're not fully expressing it. I know that one personally because that's used to be me. I always called myself the best kept secret. No more. No more. So put in the chat if that's something you know what I'm talking about. You've either experienced being the best kept secret, yeah, or you still battle with it sometimes. How do it become more visible? Yep. Oh yeah. Absolutely. Yes. It's fun. Yeah, I see this. My experience, Alice, yes. Came out of hiding over a year ago. Wow, Tammy, that's incredible because I know how much great work you've done in that year just by committing to being, fully expressing yourself and come out of hiding. That's incredible. Yep. Yep. Mangui, yes, he or she, I'm not sure. Do you have your, let's see if I can see you. If you can put your video on your camera, it's always great to see everybody. Yep. Okay. Yeah, she, great. So glad you're here. It's a beautiful name. All right, and so maybe you've worked hard, right? You've achieved things you're proud of, and yet there's still something inside of you that says there's more, which is what Tammy was talking about a year ago. There's another level of expression available to me. That's what you know. There's another level of contribution I want to make. There's just another level of impact. Because what I've observed is that at every level of success, there are new layers of expression. Because living fully expressed is not a destination. It's really, truly a journey. And there will always be another place where life is going to ask us, will you trust yourself here? Will you share what you really think? Will you step forward? Will you make that contribution that only you can make? And that might be a contribution in your business, it might be your message, it might be some creative thing that you want to put out in the world, some expression creatively of yourself. Think of the people that have contributed in those ways that have brought meaning into your life. the artists that you love, the the musicians, the singers, and the business people, and the people who are creating amazing messages, and they have wonderful methods that have helped us move from here to the next place. Will you make that contribution that only you can make? I bet you've heard that inner voice. And that's why I created this event for all of us. Because I believe every one of us has unique gifts and talents, ideas, wisdom, and experiences that we're given so that we can truly make a difference. And I've come to believe something very, very deeply. The more fully we express who we truly are, the greater impact we can create. Now later I'm going to share with you more about what that can mean for you, and how you can really begin to embody and own that in your own life and your work, and feel fully expressed in your life, your relationships, and your business and your work. So what does it take to truly raise our impact in our lives, in our business, in our communities? Imagine speaking up when it truly matters. Imagine sharing your gifts and your message with confidence. Just imagine that right now. Imagine feeling truly seen and heard, that you really feel that. And imagine now creating the impact you know you were meant to create. My guess is that everyone here wants some version of this. We want our voice to matter. We want our work to matter. And we want to feel that we're contributing something meaningful. We want to share our gifts more fully, whatever that means for you. And we want to do it not as somebody who's a different version of ourselves, but we want to share it as ourselves with confidence and authenticity, not by becoming that polished version of who we think we're supposed to be. I've been down that route. Even today, I have to confess, when I was thinking, what do I want to wear today? Well, maybe I should wear that sort of polished corporate version of myself. You know, that top I would probably wear into a corporate meeting. But I'm like, nah, I want to wear this. So here I am, wearing a top that I love. Isn't that fun? We want to become more fully ourselves. So what keeps us from delivering our full impact? Here are some of the things that a lot of us have experienced. Maybe fear of being judged, fear of rejection. Look over this list. I don't have to call them out, but take a look at this list. Not trusting our voice, waiting when we're ready, comparing ourselves. We all experience some of these, right? But it's powerful. I think it's powerful to acknowledge, not just to say, just push them aside, but really acknowledge what's getting in the way. Put in the chat what you've experienced in your own life as some of these barriers to fully expressing yourself. Being taught as a female to stay small. Yep. Isn't that interesting? Yes, thank you, Laura, for putting those in the chat. People pleasing, fear of failure, fear of rejection, all of the above. These are really common, aren't they? And why is it important that we call this out? Because it's powerful to look at what's going on so that we can make those adjustments. I know that our people on our panelists today are going to give you some actions and some ideas about how to move beyond these obstacles, I'm going to call them. You know, in acting, because I have been teaching acting for many, many years, and we have an objective in acting. Your character has an objective, what they want, what they need, and that moves them through the scene that they're in, or moves them through the script. That creates motion for them. And then there's obstacles getting in the way of what they're trying to get to. And so the scene is about the actor, or the character, actually not the actor, but the character trying to negotiate those obstacles to get what they want. And that's really what happens in our life. Because at every level that we go at, there's going to be another level that we're going to be, these ideas, these obstacles are going to show their head, going to show their energy in our lives, and we're going to deal with that. And here's why this matters. Thank you, Alice. Yep. When we hesitate to share our gifts and our talents, it doesn't only affect us. We may hold back an idea that could help someone. Yes? A conversation that needs to happen. We're holding that back. Maybe we're holding back an opportunity, or we're holding back our leadership, a creative project, or something creative that we want to offer, a talent that we want to offer the world, a powerful message, our product, our service, our unique contribution. And ultimately, we're not making the impact we're capable of creating because we're not sharing what we got. And that's why we're gathered here together today, to discover what is possible when we trust ourselves a little bit more. What happens when we stop waiting until we feel completely ready? What happens when we make the contribution that is just ours to make, our unique contribution? And what happens when we become more personally, fully expressed? That's what we're going to dive into together today, so you can walk forward with insights and inspirations and some actions that are really powerful. And that's exactly why I invited this amazing panel, and I'm going to introduce them to you right now. So I need to, Laura, if you can help me with this, I'd like to spotlight all of our panelists, if we could do that. Here we come. It's that monkey song, if you're old enough to remember that. Walking down the street.
Did I get everyone?
I think 1, 2, 3. We're missing. Are we missing?
Dr. Tammy?
Dr. Tammy. Yes, should be 7 of
Where
them.
did she
Got
go?
Tammy. She's here. I see her. Laura, Maryann, Susan. Oh yeah, 6 of us. There are 6 of us in total.
Okay.
So this is our amazing panel today. I'm going to introduce them one by one, and as I introduce them, I'm also going to invite them to add a little bit more about who they are, because this is kind of a formal introduction to them, and then I'd like them to give, 30 seconds to a minute, a little bit more of what you do. I'm going to start with Laura. Here we go. Her area of expertise, who she is, and I love this, courageous connection. After almost dying 7 times, Laura Lake has learned 2 major lessons. 1, choose me, and 2, just how much courage it takes to do that. She likes to describe herself as a playful, luminary change maker who likes deep conversations and nerdy cosplay. Laura is a 2-time international best-selling author. She's spoken at Blue Talks Harvard and has shared the stage with names like Dr. Joe Vitale and Lisa Nichols. So, Laura, I want you to add a little bit more about what you do, and let people know what's important, what you think would be important for them to know about you.
So you will be the very first group to hear my actual elevator pitch that I just wrote 3 days ago. Okay, so it says, I work with changemaker entrepreneurs to distill their multi-passionate skills into a core outcome their audience can feel and follow. And we talked about my 7 times I almost died. With that, it was the choosing me. I want all of the people who have some sort of change that they want to share with the world to not go down the path that I did of almost leaving this world,
Wow.
but to go to the other side and believe in themselves, to choose themselves, to create that change that would have helped them in their deepest, darkest moments. And most of the time that means talking about the things that we don't want to talk about.
Yes, 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 yes. Thank you, Laura, so much. Yeah,
You're welcome.
that's beautiful. That really is that change making. That's that change maker in the world.
Mhm.
Thanks again. Now I'm going to introduce Tammy Mirza. She's an ambassador, Dr. Tammy Mirza. She's an internationally recognized intuitive intelligence expert, transformational strategist, international best-selling author, and a sought-after keynote speaker who has helped more than 4,000 entrepreneurs, executives, leaders, and professionals break through invisible barriers and create extraordinary results in their business and in their life. Her work blends neuroscience, emotional intelligence, and intuitive wisdom into practical strategies that create lasting transformation. Welcome, Dr. Tammy. Would you like to add something, please, to that?
Yes, I will say thank you so much for inviting me here. I can't wait to hear the other panelists. And what I do is really dig into the subconscious and find out what is causing you to play small. What wall do you keep hitting? And then once I reveal that, you're free. And then everything in your world changes. And then I teach you conscious alchemy so that you can, out of thin air, just create whatever you want. There's something blocking us, and it's a belief system we don't even know.
Thank you, Dr. Tammy. I've certainly experienced that. I know what you're talking about. We kind of talked about that before. What's keeping us, what's, getting in the way of that. Thank you again. Next up, I have Susan Curtis. Hi, Susan.
Hey, Faith, great to be here.
Susan is she's an identity alignment executive and career transitions. She's an identity alignment coach and specializing in executive and career transitions. She's helped people navigate the space between who they've been and who they're becoming, drawing on decades of experience in executive leadership, executive recruiting, entrepreneurship, and coaching. She helps her clients uncover the values, their voice, and inner authority that can become buried beneath years of achievement and expectation so that they can create that next chapter that truly fits who they are. Her work isn't about becoming someone new, it's about living in alignment with who they already are. So
Well,
welcome, Susan.
thank you, Faith.
Yes, yes,
You
yes.
said that also well. There's not too much to add, but I think I will anyway. I'm also founder of Greater Insight, and I'm working with women, as Faith expressed, who are at a crossroads. In my own career, it's taken me through quite a few crossroads, which might be why I'm so drawn to this work today. I came to this work through a career that's had several chapters. I've been a book industry marketer at Simon and Schuster, founded and published tech magazines, built businesses in executive recruiting, as you said, worked with clients at Apple and Microsoft and all the wannabes, and served as a corporate spokesperson, even had the opportunity to speak at the United Nations. And through all those chapters, I eventually saw this golden thread. Always been interested in seeing what's there that somebody else might not see in themselves and finding the language to express it. The language to express it is the part that I've really dug into with my identity alignment journey. So we create your manifesto, your credo, your signature phrases, and the language about who you are and who you're becoming, rather than coming from a place at some old definition of success.
Yes,
So,
Susan.
right? And sometimes raising our impact isn't about more, it's actually expressing who we've become.
Yep, absolutely. Right on my path, right there. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yep. I'd
Thank
like
you.
to introduce you to Maryann Udel. She is a grief-informed coach and consultant, and her expertise is loss, grief, and major life transitions. She helps individuals and communities move through loss and change and life transitions with clarity and strength. She creates space for honest conversations about grief, not just around it, and gives people practical ways to find steadiness, meaning, and a path forward, even when everything has changed. Maryann draws on both professional training and her own hard-won experience with major loss, bringing that same directness to leaders and communities working to raise their impact. Hi, Maryann.
Hello, Faith. Thank you very much for inviting me to be part of this, because quite often people allow grief to stop them. And the sooner that you're able to acknowledge and go through your grief, the sooner you're able to fully figure out what's next, what Susan is talking about, what all of this is about. You know, there's what I help people do is face unacknowledged grief, unresolved grief, and then find a way to live joyfully beyond it. You know, there's people think you get over it, but it's taking that experience and allowing it to be part of who you are, because it is, and that is what feeds you. So now my purpose is this work. I'm living my life on purpose, doing this purpose.
That's beautiful, Maryann. And I would imagine that, grief comes in so many different ways. We have all experienced so much, we experience loss, right?
Yes.
And that comes in so many different areas of our life where we experience that, and we have grief over that. I mean, how many people have grief? I'm going to just add, how many people have?
Well, I think if you add, everybody in this room has something that they're dealing with or have dealt with. And it's not, I mean, what you said about, there are a lot of different reasons to grieve. You know, you can be going through a breakup or a divorce or a job loss or just finding your new identity.
I find so many people I talk to in my age group, or maybe a little bit younger, they're grieving the loss of their youth.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, even that. Well, thank you, Maryann. I'm so excited that you're here. And next up, we have our wonderful Sarah Alapin. Thank you, Sarah. Sarah's area of expertise, first of all, she's the founder and CEO of District Bliss, a wonderful networking organization. Her area of expertise is collaboration and networking, and being a wonderful human being. That's the other thing I have to add. Imagine stepping into a vibrant tapestry of ambition and camaraderie. That's the world that she crafts every day at District Bliss. District Bliss isn't just a network, it's a launch pad. Entrepreneurs share insights, resources, and unwavering support. Whether it's a roundtable discussion, buzzing with ideas, or a workshop that ignites new skills, Sarah and her team orchestrate the stage for our businesses to flourish. Sarah, what would you like to add?
Thank you so much for having me, Faith. It's so great to be sharing a stage with this incredible group of women, and just such an honor to spend any time with you at all ever, because you're just the best. I think you summed up what I do pretty well. We're sick of that stodgy style of networking, the vanishing business cards, the shallow handshakes. We want those real connections. We want to grow our business through people forward paths, whether that be through referral networks and building out your referral networks, or collaborations, much like this panel. We all brought something to the table. Faith brought us all together. And this is a collaborative effort to share content with you all. So I think those are the things that really matter in this world, especially now.
Thank you so much, Sarah. I've had the pleasure of being part of District Bliss for quite some time, and it's really a wonderful opportunity to connect with people, like-minded souls. So everything we'll be discussing today comes back in some way to this question: how do we own who we are, amplify our presence, and expand our own influence so that we can create the impact that we're here to create? And as you listen today, I don't want you to only think about what our panelists are saying. Think about you. Where does this show up in your own life? Where might there be a gap between what you know you're capable of and what you're currently expressing? What's one idea one shift, one action that could help you raise your own impact. So let's begin. Um, I'm going to ask each panelist to answer this first question, and a couple of minutes. Let's see. Yeah, a couple of minutes each. If you could keep it to that, that should work out really great for us today. Our first question, and I'm going to actually go down my Hollywood squares here that I have. So I'll probably I'll probably start with Susan, Sarah, Laura, but I might, you know what, I might change it up. Let me not do that. I'm going to change it up. Okay, here we go. Many people, here's our first thing I want to discuss. Many people know that they have more to offer, but they still hold themselves back. What do you believe is the biggest thing that keeps the people that you work with from stepping into their full impact? And then maybe one thing they can do to begin moving through that. Susan, why don't we begin with you?
Great. Thank you, Faith. Well, I've evolved on this question. I realize old answer, new answer. You knew me originally because my focus was imposter syndrome. I viewed that in the accomplished women that I was working with all the time, right? But I've gone deeper into that, and I found that one of the biggest things that's holding accomplished people back is something that we don't talk about very often, and perhaps it's why their imposter syndrome bubbles up. And it's that their external life has evolved, especially with some of us who've had more than a few birthdays, and their internal definition of who they are has not caught up. So we accumulate identities. I remember observing that as a kid. I recognized that I was a sort of a chameleon and that there were so many hats you wear, your daughter, your student, your maybe girlfriend, what have you. So I'd ask you to put me in the chat if you recognize any of these identities. The good student, the struggling student for that matter, the successful executive, the entrepreneur, or the dependable one, the person everybody turns to. And those identities may have served us extraordinarily well, right? But those are external identities, right? That's other people's expectations. That's how I see that. Then what happens next, we think is a confidence problem or procrastination or lack of clarity, but it isn't. Sometimes it's really an identity problem, that gap I'm talking about. So I think the first thing you can do is stop and ask, what should I do? Instead of what should I do next, ask a different question of yourself. Who am I being today? What matters to me now? What do I believe now? What am I no longer to organize my life around? And it's radical. It can be. I guess I'm encouraging disruption, aren't I? So that's the heart of my identity alignment work, because when your choices and your voice and your work start coming from who you're actually today, your impact becomes much more natural. There's a greater coherence between who you are and how you show up.
Thank you, Susan. And what she's describing really speaks to authenticity, doesn't it? Trusting what's actually true for ourselves. But sometimes you got to figure that out, right? Because
when you said that, it reminds me of sort of like what comes up for me when you say that is who do you think you're going to disappoint? I've got a framed picture of my father on the wall. He's no longer with us, but I feel like I'll disappoint him.
Yeah.
Still today.
I'm sure so many of us have that. It might be a parent, might be a grandparent, might be a teacher, it could be, anybody, our spouse, anybody that we might be trying to impress or wanting to, it makes it more about them than us. Thank you for that, Susan. Sarah, what about you? Would you like to talk about this a little bit? The people that
I first of all, I agree with everything that Susan just said. I think one of the ways that I see this is through lack of visibility and connections. And honestly, deprioritizing the connection piece, because it can often feel like a bit of a luxury to connect with other people and to spend time with other people. And you feel a bit of guilt that you should be, head down working on your business, getting more clients. And we don't really think through that our people are the best source of getting our name out there, out of support, and getting our message out there on our behalf. And I think that that's just an underutilized and underappreciated aspect of impact.
Yeah, I think so too. I always had called myself a, introvert, right? And that's part of what I love about your networking. It's like for introverts and extroverts.
We're introvert friendly.
Introvert friendly. And there's nothing, it's interesting. I called myself that, and I still have those tendencies. I think a lot of us do. But there's something about when we truly allow ourselves to connect because we're interested in the other person, or because we know that we have something valuable and we're willing to share that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you, Sarah. Laura, I know you're about connection too as well. So this is a great segue into Laura.
I'm very much about connection, Sarah. We will connect afterwards. I started laughing when you asked this question, Faith, because I just watched myself replay that part of my life over again. And I'm like, oh, if I could just go back and be like, look, dear Laura, actually listen to the emotions that you have that you're avoiding, that you think are the bad emotions, but really they're just uncomfortable. We're trying to avoid the pain, right? And go toward all the things that feel good and bring us pleasure. But if I could go back and tell that old version of Laura that the message and the answers that you're looking for are directly in the message from that emotion, and if I can just elate or label the specific thing that I'm feeling, the message automatically comes up. I'm not stressed. I'm frustrated. I'm disappointed. I am fearful or super anxious. If I can just tweak it a little, then those individual emotions tell me what I actually need for my body. And since I'm trained, like many of us, to not allow myself the things that I want, I'm learning, but to only give myself the things that I need, then if I can listen to those needs right when they come up the first time, imagine the heartache I can avoid by just listening instead of them going, Mom, 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 until we go, yeah, 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 yeah. Just give me 5 minutes. Mom, no, just listen now, get the answer, move on.
Yes, Laura, what um, beautiful ideas that you just brought forth. And I could see Tammy lighting up because she works with emotions. I do too. I think Maryann does. We probably all do on some level.
Yeah.
I have an emotional course that I work with people on finding and empowering their emotions. It's just like you said, that our emotions are not bad or good. They're there for a reason. I always tell people that our emotions is what it means to be living fully human. Right, and they are indications when we are feeling uncomfortable or not, the emotions that are feel like disempowering us. They're indications that something is wrong, that something's going on in our life we need to pay attention to. And if we don't pay attention to it, it still stays in our body, and then we have to deal with it later, right?
Yeah. It's the difference between the bus driver observing absolutely everything versus everybody else on the bus going, oh my God, seeing something that the driver can't turn around and look at. So all the subconscious. Yeah.
That's great. Well, thank you, Laura. Thank you for being here. I'm so
Thank you.
grateful. Maryann, how would you like to weigh in on this question? I can't wait to hear what you have to say.
Well, mine has, I agree with all of the feeling stuff, but in addition to that, there's something about pretending. There's something about holding up this image of who you think you should be. You know, for a while I was in the corporate world for 20 years, and I come from an acting background. I was not equipped to be in the corporate world, and I felt like I was pretending, that I had this image of how I should be. And once I stripped away the thought of being somebody else and just allowed myself to be who I was and bring the gifts that I possessed into the corporate world. So it's more the improv thing of yes and instead of but or no, that you bring into the corporate world the joy and the creativity of being an actress. And that created the exact perfect combination to be who I needed to be in the role I was doing in the corporate world. I didn't have to pretend. So it's having the courage to be who you are, the honesty to identify what that is, and going through the hard stuff and learning, okay, that was tough. What did I learn doing that? And I'm not going to do it again. So being afraid of failing, people don't want to show up because they don't want to fail. They don't want to be criticized or judged, put down, made to feel like a fool.
Yeah.
So once you get past all of that and you just say, oh, that's just information, that you think, oh, that doesn't identify who I really am. I know who I am. This is just something that they see because of who they are.
Beautiful, Maryann. Yes. Tammy, what's on your mind?
Well, it's funny because when I looked at your questions, I was going to answer it another way, but I'm going to be present. Stop the self-abuse. Self-abuse could be as broad as judging everything about you or what is wrong with you, or it could be you questioning yourself. So I just had a client. She weighs 108 pounds. I'm not much bigger than her. We're both tiny. She's taller. And the very first day of her life transformation, I took her to the airport this morning was, what is occupying your mind and what are you judging? And it was almost everything on her body. So let me tell you how to get through that, because one of the part of the question was, what is it that is holding people back? I'm not enough, basically. I'm going to judge my looks. I'm going to judge my body. I'm going to judge somebody else at work, but you're really judging you. And it's a form of self-abuse. And so what I had her do to get over it, and I'm going to give you something to do to get over it, is I said, I'm going to challenge you as your mentor. Look at my body and tell me what is wrong with me. And she was like, I can't. You're my mentor. I love you. And I went, well, then why are you doing it to yourself? And guess what she came up with? You're fat. I'm tiny. Your nose is crooked. I went, yeah, I pointed that out. So my point is, when she went through that exercise of telling me, and I really am tiny, and so is she, I said, you see how unreasonable your judgments about yourself are. That goes into every single aspect of your life because what you're doing in one form, you're doing in every form. And that is holding you back. So if you're doing it, if you find yourself walking past the mirror like she was, or you're just thinking about how little you are, or how less you are, or how you're not good at this and they're the best at this because you compare what you think is your worst to their best. I want you to look in the mirror and take the one person that you love the most, which is what I did to her and me, her husband and me. I know more than her husband does about her. And I said, tell me what's wrong with me. If you will sit in front of the mirror and picture that you are talking to the one person in your life that you love the most, and you tell them what you think about you, you will stop.
Beautiful, Tammy. That's a great, 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 great process. You know, when we look out in the world and we see that we're judging others, that is really a reflection of how we feel inside. These, like we've set this bar so high that to be not what we would consider perfect, it's just a form of self-abuse. Absolutely.
It really is. And if we stop, we can move forward. But
Yes.
as long as we're beating ourselves up or questioning ourselves, why did you make that
Yeah.
decision? We'll make a new decision.
Right.
That you can't change 2 minutes. That
No.
something that happened 2 minutes ago, let's go.
Yeah, I was working with a financial advisor and he was doing presentations and he was wonderful in his work and he felt that his presentation to his, to his, not wasn't like to the big team, but just the small team had to be perfect, his bosses. And because it had to be perfect, he ended up with panic attacks.
Yeah.
Right?
We are perfectly imperfect.
Yes, we are. Beautiful. Let's move on to the next question. We probably won't get through all of our questions today because we're having such beautiful answers here. So, well, I just love what you're saying. If you can keep it around 2 minutes, that's fantastic. But what we're offering today is so amazing. I don't want to shut us down. So I wanted to ask you, what's one shift, either in your mindset, your communication, your visibility, or your strategy that created the biggest breakthrough in your own career or your own business? Yeah, just one shift that happened, about that. Let's start with Laura. Laura just had that question. Oh, Maryann, did you want to start?
Yes.
Let's start with Maryann.
I got something really fast. With me, it was courage. That corporate job I was talking about, the company got sold, and the new owners had a whole different mindset about the business model, and I got laid off. Luckily, I was already training to become a coach, had some clients, and the moment I got laid off, I became a full-time coach. A year later, I went back to the company, offered them some training, and they were laying off even more people, and they hired me as a consultant to be there as part of the package for the people who were getting laid off. So if I had not had that courage, I didn't know they were laying more people off. I was going to offer training. And luckily the HR manager knew yes, let's do it. Can you start Monday?
Love that. That's amazing, Maryann. It's courage.
So if I had not had the courage, yes.
That's beautiful. Right. Great, 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 great. How about you, Sarah?
For me, networking doesn't have to be transactional. And when you take that transactional element out of it, when it's more of relationship building, you take that anxiety provoking feeling out of networking.
Right. So that helped you in your own strategy in your business to create that in District Bliss.
Yes. And it also gave me the courage to keep putting myself out there.
Thank you. Thank you. Susan, what about you?
I love the topic. For me, it was about permission. So I had been founding publisher of the leading magazine, kind of a breakthrough magazine in work from anywhere, which is what we all do today, but we were revolutionary at the time. And we had sold our magazines after growing in the middle of a recession. We had sold our magazines to a large media company, and they bought me along with it to keep it running. And then I was awakened in the middle of the night with the Northridge earthquake. 8.3 shook us out of bed. Bookcase fell on my daughter's crib and nearly crushed her. She was 2 at the time. Cracks, the main beam cracked in the house. I mean, everything was really shut. Talk about grief, Maryann. We were all going through that. And the powers that be, or were, a New York-based company, brought in a Beverly Hills shrink to talk to all of us and help us through. And after his time with us, he said, does anyone want to talk with me privately? And I said, I will. And I said to him, I've always stuck to anything I've ever committed to, but I'm really so very unhappy. My values have shifted after this earthquake, as well as the fact that we were very entrepreneurial and the company that bought us was incredibly rigid. So it was a bit of a mismatch there. And he said to me, why don't you leave? And I thought I could leave. It just seemed inconceivable to me. But I thought about it after the event, the meeting, and ultimately I gave 6 months notice, found a new publisher for them, and indeed did leave. And I used to think about that experience as I just needed someone to give me permission to make that break. And then I transformed more and realized I needed to learn to give myself permission. And that's a shift that was vital in my life. And I think for all of us, that we need to have permission, give ourselves permission to express ourselves, to validate our choices, to define or redefine yourself, to lighten up your life, to fill your own cup, and to let go of what no longer serves or delights you.
Absolutely, Susan. Beautiful.
Thank you.
He speaks my language. You always speak in my language.
Cool. Thank you. As you.
Tammy, what about you? What was that change and shift? I'm kind of curious about. You said about a year ago you'd made a choice to become more visible. What was that about?
That's what I'm going to talk about. It was 2 years ago, I realized in July, and I'm sitting with my peers, and Spirit says, come out of hiding and tell them about your supernatural abilities. Talk about it, expose it, take your clothes off in front of them and let them see you. And it did not go well. They yelled at me, they condemned me. And you see, at 11, I had these supernatural abilities appear, very much like John Coffey in The Green Mile, except you don't see particles coming out of my mouth. So I think my entire life, Susan, based on what you were saying, I was wanting one person to give me permission to come out of hiding and say, okay, I see what you're not telling me. I hear what you're thinking. I smell what is raunchy in your life. I can taste the essence of life and I can feel everything. I'm an empath. So I do energy work and I feel what's going on and what's stuck in the subconscious. What happened, although that group did not accept me, I never went back. And I'd paid $15,000 to be in that group. I left. I'm like, you're not my village. That night when I went to bed, I said, what was this about? Because I know you had a reason. And I saw a crown and it was being brought to me. And they said, you just rose sovereign and you gave yourself permission. And I took off. And since then, I've doubled the amount of movies that I've been in. I've been on stage with Les Brown, Marianne Williamson, Sharon Lecter, all of these people. I've been in movies with Jack Canfield. I spoke at the United Nations and the Nigerian Embassy. I've gotten a Medal of Honor. I've received a Global Distinguished Lifetime Award. I've received citations from New York City, citations from the General Assemblies. The Medal of Honor is all about transformation work. Once you decide you're not going to hide and you're just going to come out, it might be painful at first, but the rewards are worth it. And one of the movies are coming out in September in a movie theater, and I'm on the red carpet. And now His Eminence in Nepal has invited me to stay in his monastery and sit with me. So the recognition that you get from you coming out, all of this has happened in less than 2 years or a little bit over 2 years. So I encourage everyone, no matter who you are, no matter how handicapped you think you are, no matter what you do, what your abilities are, if we really start stepping into that intuition and that supernatural ability, because we're not just physical, then the rewards come. And they just keep coming. I'm getting another award in Vegas. I don't even know what it is. I'm like, okay, let's go.
What amazing experiences that you've had in just this short period by allowing yourself. And I like this, I'm hearing a courage from Maryann, and Sarah is like authentic connection, and Susan is giving yourself permission, and Tammy is like, come out, don't hide anymore. Laura, what is your experience, that one thing that changed for you? And maybe you're
Mine
in
was
the
just
middle of
over a
it.
year ago too.
Yeah.
I swear it was since I interviewed you, Dr. Tammy, somewhere around that time. I went to go visit Shelley Rogerson, and we did a ritual on the beach. And I was thinking about all the trauma and all the ways I've stopped myself, like many of us in our business. And this thought popped into my head. Why can't all of this energy that I'm putting into healing myself after the 7 times I almost died, what if I put that on a maintenance schedule? I was like, huh. So in my brain, I'm picturing all those background programs running, and I'm like, how much mental energy am I using to run that program called healing 24/7, 365? It's like 90% of my mental resources. So if I could just close it, even for half a day, even for a minute at the beginning, and just reallocate all of that energy to something else that I want to focus on and come back to it, I have had so much more energy. It is insane. And that's why I'm getting things done.
Beautiful, Laura. I love that. So many different ideas here, and wonderful. Where I just love what's happening on this panel. And what I'm hearing is that showing up more authentically, trusting our ideas, trusting our voice, and then taking that next step. Because confidence happens, grows because we move, doesn't it? Because we say yes. That's what I'm hearing from Laura too. That movement of putting herself on a schedule, maintenance schedule. I love that. So I think we have time for one more question, and then I'm going to have you offer your gifts, and then I'm going to allow people to see a place where they can take this a little bit further. So if you hang in with me, I would love that. This is the question is, and let's, if you could just make this kind of brief here, because I want to get to your gifts that you want to offer everyone. If everyone watching today could take just one action this week to raise their impact, what would you tell them to do? Yeah. Let's start with Tammy.
Nobody's sharing, so I'll just jump in.
Oh, go ahead, Laura, jump in. Absolutely. I love it. I love
I was
that.
like, where's the unmute? Okay, the one action to raise our impact this week, I would ask people to ask themselves, what is it that I'm avoiding? And I know that's really broad and that's really general, but think about a specific part in your life. If it's something in your business, what am I avoiding doing in my business? Is it a vulnerable story? Is it being visible? Is it like whatever it is? Know what it is, have that awareness around it, and ask yourself, what is the emotion that comes up that I'm trying to avoid? And what am I getting by avoiding it?
Beautiful, Laura. I love that.
Yeah.
Sarah, what about you? What would be the thing that you would?
To add on to Laura's, I would say be brave
Oh,
and take that action that you've been avoiding.
beautiful. Tammy?
What do you really want? When you identify what you want, it is the highest good for you, and that means it's the highest good for everyone else. The biggest thing that I see with my clients is they don't know what they want. When I ask them, they fumble. Well, what if money wasn't an object? What if time wasn't an object? And I am actually shifting that and changing my order and everything in my business right now based on what I want. And I know I'm going to get it.
Yeah.
And you can have it too.
Wow, Tammy, beautiful. And let's see, Maryann, and then Susan.
That for me, it's getting grounded. That getting still, and it probably feeds into what Tammy is saying about being clear about what you want. You know, be honest. So when you sit still, you can hear that, and you really connect with what you're meant to do.
Beautiful. Yeah, great practices that we have so much noise coming at us all of the time, don't we? And it's hard. We have to put that phone down, put these things down, sit with what we want, get, do some journaling, have some time to actually be who we are. Yeah, I love this. And Susan, I think we are.
Yep, thank you. So guess what? We're human, right? One of my favorite books is written by a man named John Acuff, Acuffjon, called Finish. And there's a chapter in it where he writes, decide what to bomb. He doesn't mean what to explode, but actually what you won't do well in your life, you're willing to not be perfectionist about so that you have room for the rest, right? And that was really meaningful to me. That's how I got my course, Imposter to Empowered accomplished, is that I bombed, I took everything off the plate, like made room. And so what would have to leave my life in order to make room for this particular yes? We're always being, suggested to add something to be more visible. Part of my story and also my gift, when we get to that, is about what to subtract.
Beautiful. Yeah, those are such great ideas, and they all connect together. They're synergistic. But notice that everybody's got their own unique expression of this, and this is what's really, really important. That we may be coaching and teaching similar things out in the world, but who we are, our unique expression of that, is why we were created. How many, no two flowers are alike? Why do you think we are not alike? There's no two human beings alike, and we're here to allow ourselves to be that unique expression of all of our experiences, our knowledge, what we want, what we desire, what we want to put out into the world, and actually enjoy it. Have fun doing it. Right? Sometimes the process we go through can feel a little deep, and it can be a little scary, and it can feel, but if you have support, if you have someone helping you through that process, you can get there. Absolutely. Well, let's get to our gifts that we have. I am going to, in the chat, put the gifts in the chat, because I know that, Laura, you don't have those gifts, but I do here. All right, let's see. Hopefully they will come out on the chat. Ah, I love life. I love when life comes together and a plan comes together. Here we go. So if you could briefly tell a little bit about what your gift is, Laura. It's all in the chat for everyone who they've graciously offered these beautiful and amazing gifts. I'm going to take advantage of all of them. I'm just going to do that. I hope that you will too. Laura, what yours is Taco Tuesday.
So remember me talking about the ritual on the beach and all that energy I got? So the idea of Taco Tuesday, it stands for Take Action Collaboratively Online. The whole point is for us to share whatever our expertise is on the topic of the day and to have silent work time to actually get things done while seeing a room full of people, so that I don't go shove my face into a cat or open the fridge or any of the other things that I will use to distract myself. And so we're just there to support each other and get things done. The code that I'm going to use for you, Faith, and for everybody here is going to be IMPACT, since that's what we're talking about. IMPACT FR stands for Faith Rumor.
Oh,
So that I know that we come from Faith.
is that lowercase?
It doesn't matter.
Okay,
It's not automatic. It all goes through me. So
beautiful.
that'll give you a,
Great.
complimentary session.
I love it.
Okay.
And see, and Tammy, your gift is a free quiz to find out your dominant sensory superpower.
Yes, I kind of mentioned that. Seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, and feeling, that is your intuition. So on that one website, there is not only one gift, but there's two. One is a quiz for you to find out what your dominant is. And then there's a video that goes with it. And then the other one is a book that I read to an audience about your sensory superpowers and how you tap into those abilities that I mentioned. We're not taught in school how to use those things, but they're your biggest assets.
Beautiful. I love that. Susan, you have the 3 a.m. question before your next yes.
That's right. Thanks, Faith. So the question that keeps that you've been very successfully ignoring all day because you haven't slowed down. Somehow at 3 a.m. it rears its ugly head, and for me, there's no falling asleep after that. So this short guide has a series of questions and reflections that let you decide what still fits, what you might be ready to let go, what deserves space next, and maybe what to bomb.
I love it. I love it. Maryann, the list of mindfulness techniques.
This goes into what I was talking about, getting still. It doesn't take a lot of time or energy to be mindful. And the things that I share are very simple. But quite often we look for things to be hard, and they don't have to be hard. So it's just utilizing and allowing yourself to have those quiet moments for the wisdom to come through.
That's great. Beautiful. And Sarah, you have it looks like a presentation, if I think, right? The role of networking and building long-term visibility.
Yes, it's like a mini course. And it's really it's my process for building meaningful connections that grow your business without feeling that anxiety. And it breaks it down into really like small chunks so that you're doing like 5 minutes of work a day, but you're really building out your network and leveraging it successfully. And when you sign up, you get a district list networking social ticket too. So that goes right to your inbox as well.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay. So the links are in the chat. You've heard what they've had to say. You don't have to do everything today, but if something is speaking to you, go ahead and sign up for it. Notice which one, do I need most right now, and then do that one. But they're available to you. Beautiful. Which one of these resources can take me to the next step? Right. Give yourself time later to explore them. But go ahead and make sure that you save the chat or open those resources right now. Okay. So I have been listening to everything that's been said here today, and there seems to be a thread running through. Underneath this entire conversation. And this is what I hear, this is what I see, whether we're talking about networking, visibility, our emotions, our intuition, our confidence, leaderships, business, all of that. Underneath of it is how much of ourselves are we actually bringing to our lives and our work. Would you agree? Yeah. Okay. And that, I'm going to share a little something here. And that brings us back to what we were talking about in the beginning. What's possible when we stop holding ourselves back? What happens when we trust our voice? What happens when we stop waiting until we feel completely ready? When we stop toning ourselves down. I love that word. It's just like, I'm just going to tone it down a little bit instead of like open it up. Right? Our energies are emotional energies, but our energies are either contracted or they're open. Right? Contracted energy feels like it's keeping us safe, or it's keeping us in a place of too comfortable. Right? Open up is going to be that energy of empowerment. Disempowerment, empowerment. However, our emotional energies, even the contracted energies, have a message for us. And we don't want to ignore those. So what happens when we stop waiting until we're completely ready? When we're really ready to make a unique contribution. That to me is the heart of what I call living a fully expressed life. Now, for those of you who don't know me, and maybe new to my world, I could tell you a little bit about me. I told you a bit in the beginning, but this is kind of what's happened to me a little bit. Before I became a coach, a speaker, and a mentor, I was a professional singer and an actor. And when I was as music wasn't just what I did, it was really a huge part of who I was. It was my identity, Susan, right? Then one day I lost my voice. And for months I couldn't sing. I couldn't perform. I couldn't do the thing that I loved most. And it was devastating. But I refused to give up. I was determined to get my voice back. So in honor of my voice, I'm going to take a little water here. I worked, I healed, I persevered. And then 2 years later, after losing my voice, I had the incredible opportunity to sing the national anthem for the Chicago White Sox in front of 50,000 people. And standing there singing, I understood something that has influenced me and the work I've done ever since. Because it wasn't just about hitting those high notes. It wasn't only about performing. What was it about for me? It was about connection. It was about using my voice to move people, to create an experience for them, to contribute something. And maybe even more importantly, I knew what it felt like to have something inside of me that I wanted to express and not being able to express it. And I began to understand how deeply our ability to express ourselves is connected to who we are. Tammy expresses herself in her intuition, Maryann in giving people through loss, Laura in connection, Susan in helping people through those transitions and knowing themselves, and Sarah in connection. That became a driving force in my life and my work, helping other people find and trust their own voice, to express the gifts they've been given, and to bring more of who they truly are into the world. Because when I say that our voice matters, I'm not simply talking about our speaking voice, even though I've coached voice for a long, long, long time. I say when your voice matters, we're talking about your ideas, your gifts, your creativity, your perspective, your story, your message, your wisdom, the contribution that only you can make. So we've talked a lot today about moving beyond fear, about moving beyond what's keeping us back, and we can talk about showing up with confidence, we can talk about authenticity, we can talk about visibility, connection, we can talk about not hiding our gifts and really making our unique contribution. And we can talk about communicating in a way that really moves people. But how do we actually do that? What gets in the way? What is your gap? What would being more fully expressed actually look like for you? And what is your most powerful way forward? Now, you know you have gifts, talents, ideas, wisdom, and experience that could help other people. Everybody here knows that, right? We all do. And yet sometimes we hesitate, we question ourselves. Tammy talked about it. We all talked about it on here. I questioned myself when I started doing this work. You wonder if you're ready, you overthink what you want to say, and then you hold yourself back. If anything like that resonates with you, put it in the chat. Because almost everyone I've worked with over the last 30 years has had that experience, some version of that. Now here's the deal. These are doubts and fears that are simply part of the process of growing into our next level. The question isn't necessarily, how do I get rid of every doubt and fear? The question becomes, how do I keep moving forward through the doubts and the fears and authentically express myself, even when some of those doubts are there? Yeah. And that's why I created what I want to share with you right now. This is my free masterclass that is coming up actually next week. The power of fully expressing yourself. You can join, the link is right here. There's a QR code, and I am going to put that in the chat. Let me see if I can find it. There we go. And I'd like to invite you to this masterclass where we're going to dive in even more. Okay. There we go. I don't know if it will grab the QR code and I don't think I can put that. Nope, it won't let me put it into. I took so many pictures my camera won't turn on anymore. That's so funny, Laura. Right. Over the years, I've discovered that most people, there's really a gap between who we are and how we're showing up. What we know and what we're sharing. The dream we carry and the actions that we're taking. And the impact that we want to create and the impact that we're currently creating. I know I can feel that in my own work. And I want to emphasize something. Having a gap doesn't mean that we failed. It doesn't mean we're not successful. It just shows up at every level of our lives and our success. There are always new levels of expression. Have a fully expressed life is a journey, isn't it? It's not a destination. Our fully expressed life, when we look at ourselves a year from now, we're going to be, all of us, as we commit to this journey of fully expressing ourselves, we're going to be amazed at where we are. Maybe the gap for you right now is confidence. Maybe it's clarity. Maybe it's having the courage to put your work out into the world. Or maybe you know what you want, right? You have that clarity, but you're still holding back. Maybe you're successful in one part of your life and realizing there's another part of you that wants expression. When we begin to close the gap, then things begin to change, right? Our confidence changes, our communication changes, our relationships can change, our sense of purpose can change, our impact changes, and that's what a fully expressed life is really about. So I want to take you from the conversation and ideas and insights that we've had today, and then what are we going to do about it? When you join me for the masterclass, we're going to explore how to move beyond the self-doubt and fear, the things that keeps us playing small, how to show up with greater confidence and authenticity so you can have more, right? So you can have more in your life and more influence and make your great impact, how to stop holding back your gifts and make your unique contribution, and how to create an authentic life that really moves people and creates that meaningful impact in your own work and life and in other people's life. So I'm going to show you and walk you through my 4-phase Your Fully Expressed Life framework that I developed through decades of doing this work, so you can begin to recognize, where am I now? Where am I hesitating? And what is my next step? Because the biggest difference between thinking about living more fully and actually doing it is taking that step. So if anything we've talked about today has resonated with you, if you found yourself thinking, wow, I have more to give, I know I'm capable of more, there's another level of expression, fulfillment, right, and impact available to me, I would love to have you join me for this power of fully expressing yourself. The registration link is in the chat, right? It's completely free. I'm genuinely excited to continue the conversation with you, because being fully expressed is not that destination we finally arrive at, it's that journey at every level of our lives. Okay, I'm going to throw that in share that one more time for everyone. I'll leave that up for just a second. The power of your fully expressing yourself, right? The power of fully expressing yourself. I think I put the "your" in here, but I think it should be the power of fully expressing yourself, or you're fully expressing yourself. Either one works. This has been an amazing, amazing class, amazing panel. Here we are. Your voice matters. Your gifts matters. The world needs only what you can bring. So I want to open it up for, if there's any Q&A from anyone who is still with us here today. You have some questions for some of these amazing people here on our panel. Let's open up the panel. Let's see here. Thank you so much for a wonderful session. Great. Thank you, Kira. Yep. Great. Would anyone like to have a question for anyone on the panel right now, or for myself? Laura.
First, I have to celebrate Alice, who has had their camera on this whole time. So go, Alice.
Alice is amazing. Alice is one of my clients, and she is amazing. I love her.
Yeah.
She's beautiful. Yes, thank you for that.
I do have a question for everyone here, though. What does the word, you turn your camera back on. I saw you, Alice. What does impact mean for all of you? Just like the word success, we have our own definition.
An impact means that you could feel people's emotion. You could feel people that you're connected to. You could feel people who have negative energy. You could also smell them. They have this, some people have a dark aura, and people like that I stay away from. And then there are people who makes you very excited. And I've been having the discussions. I have two sons, and the younger two grandsons are also empath, and the younger son is an empath. The older one, he says no, but I think he is, but he's too straight and narrow to admit those things. And usually the empath, I think recently I've been asking, say, how come my dad haven't shown up? My dad always show up if I'm doing something wrong. And then I was like, wait a minute, I don't need my dad to give me permission, right? As I go through all this turbulent stuff, I have myself and my experiences to rely on. He has guided me, for most part of my life. But now I'm like, hey, I'm on my own and I have like a whole tribe behind me that I got to guide. So, yeah.
Wow, thank you. Thank you, Alice. Did that resonate with our
Okay.
panelists? Absolutely. Alice is a wonderful voiceover artist and actor and creative person and empath. She's an amazing person. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Alice.
You're welcome. Thank you, Faith, for this panel and everyone else in the panel and all the participants. It's been really amazing. Thank you.
Yeah.
And Mirza, I won't sleep tonight.
I wish more people could have experienced this panel. It's such
I
an
wish it too.
amazing,
Yeah.
amazing group of people. And what we've been talking about is absolutely that conversation that we want to open up to the world so that we can really change the way people connect with each other and the way people are experiencing life.
Faith, I want to thank you. This has been
Yeah.
extraordinary to meet these phenomenal women here on the panel and to see what you've done here, the message behind all of your work and how meaningful it is. I don't care who we are as panelists, by the way, at least for myself. I think that you bring us to an even higher level.
Oh,
So thank you.
Susan,
Thank you. And I'll say bye.
that totally speaks to me.
And I will see and hear from all of you.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Bye.
Does anyone else have a question or something they'd like to add before we? Laura, Maryann? Or there's someone in the chat.
There's
Yeah,
someone
there's a
in the
question.
chat.
Someone in the chat.
Yeah, that's me. I was just asking what kind of advice you'd give to someone that's early in their career.
This is
Since I feel like you all have such inspiring stories, but I feel like I'm so early in my career that I don't know how I would go down that path.
Oh, and who is this that's speaking?
Kira.
Kiara?
Kira. Okay,
Kiara.
beautiful.
Kiara.
Kiara.
Well, we've all started somewhere. And I know for a fact that I've made different pivots in my career, and it feels like sometimes like I'm starting over again with what I've been doing. I think a lot of us feel that way. And so leaning into the people that are in this panel, getting their insights, getting support. I encourage you, Kira, to come to my masterclass that we can dive into it a little bit more and get to know some of these panelists here as well. Definitely download their gifts to you. You're not sure. Let's see. I'm really amazed by the others started their own business, but I'm not sure how you will go about going down that path. Yes. That's a conversation we can definitely have, and the people here on the panelists each can help you too as well. I think we've all made those choices. We started out doing something a little bit different, and now here we are, life coaches, consultants, business coaches, people who are intuitive coaches, people who are helping others through what we've learned, right?
The one thing that I would just offer, Kiara, is that what is it that you feel who can you help? Who is it that you feel you want to serve? Or what is it that you know you have that you might take for granted? Because that might be exactly what no one else has. Your superpower is something that comes easily to you, but might be a huge thing for someone else.
Right. That's very, very true, Maryann. And sometimes it's a little bit difficult to acknowledge that. Like, is that really a superpower? What I have here, what am I doing? That's kind of hard. But there is, if that nudges inside of you, that's something that you get drawn to, something that excites you, something that feels like this feels like me. That's what you want to trust.
I would love to share some advice
Yes, love.
as I went down the wrong path multiple times. Uh, One of the biggest things I've noticed, and I'm really good at patterns, I love that kind of stuff, is that many, many people are really good at finding the individual puzzle pieces. They are not very good at being able to put those puzzle pieces together. So what tends to happen is people will almost always be going after the wrong solution. So for whatever work that you want to do, I'm going to ask you to figure out what is it that inspired you to learn all these skills and understand what your body was trying to feel. So what's that emotion you're running away from? What's the emotion you're running to? And just use that as a thread. That thread is going to dictate all the skills you'll ever learn onto your path of freedom and peace, like all of us. But that's going to be your mode of transportation. If you can articulate your mode of transportation and then understand that the people coming to you don't actually know the actual problem they have, then you can use that mode of transportation to help them figure out what they actually need. And I know that's, again, kind of generalist, but it is a starting place to help you figure out what kind of business, what your message is, and how you're going to serve.
Right.
Yeah.
And I even want to go back to what the other panelists have said when we asked about that one action they could take. Be brave, have courage, right? Come out from where you are, right? We're human. All of these things. And then Laura just gave some wonderful, wonderful active tips.
I really loved what Laura said. Thank you, Laura. That was great.
I do
wanted
too.
to add, if there's time for one more, or at least my
Yes,
thought.
one more, and then we'll wrap up.
I would say, Kiara, if this can work for you, think of your attempts at visibility and perhaps going into something of your own. Think of it as play. Think of it as an experiment. My father used to always say, what's the worst thing that could happen? Which was a silly game, but really just try on different hats and maybe recognize if you have some pieces of imposter syndrome, for example, maybe I'm not ready, other people are better at this, whatever it might be, to just put that aside and say, okay, that's just the resistance gremlin showing up. I figured you were going to show up. I know you're just trying to keep me safe, but I've got this, and just play.
What wonderful, wonderful experiences we've had today, and what wonderful advice, what wonderful opportunities for us to help people in the world. And Kiara, thank you for putting that in the chat. It gave us an opportunity to get real here about what it means to get ourselves out into the world, because we're all experiencing it each and every single day. And I would again lean into all of us for you, Kiara, because we're here to be that place for you to move to that next level of your self-expression, of who you are and what's needed in the world and your contribution. Obviously, there's a nudge going on inside of you because you've asked that question. That's there, right? There's that intuitive hit going, I got something I gotta get out there. There's something here, right? I know when I started working with my emotional work, and putting that out into the world. It has to do with moving through the 7 energy centers in our body and how we hold the energy there. I had to really trust that work that was coming through me, that unique work, and the way I was putting it out there, the way I had synthesized it, was exactly what was needed. Right? And I know that we all feel that way.
Yes.
Wow, what an amazing, I could spend time with all of you all day. We know that, because this is exciting work for us. I want to thank Susan. I want to thank Sarah, Laura, Maryann, and Dr. Tammy for their unique wisdom and brilliance that they're bringing into this world. I'm so blessed to know you all and to be a part of your world. And I want to thank everybody who have participated today by coming with us on this journey. And please get their gifts, come to my masterclass, and we will see you in the next time that we get together. Thank you, thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye, everybody. Yeah. I love that, Laura.
Hey, Laura.
I love it, I love it.
That was awesome, Faith. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, this was so great. Thank you so much. So honored to know you all and to have been part of this panel.
Yep, there's more connections to be happening here. I know that, I can see that.
So is there room, is there enough seats for us to join your masterclass?
Yes, please do that. I
Okay.
hope that you do. Absolutely.
Sounds too good to be true.
I want
Okay.
you there. Absolutely. I would welcome it. Please
Thank
do
you.
that. All right. Thank you so
Oh, by
much.
the way, if we can help you send notes out
Yeah,
about that.
I'll definitely connect
Yeah.
with all of you about that. If you'd like to do that, we'll
Okay,
do that.
sure.
And, yeah.
Thanks.
And
Bye.
So I take it no debrief after?
no debrief.